Alrighty. Well, hello, and thank you for coming to this year-end BirdDog live session show. My name is Anthony Barocas. I am here for BirdDog, and I'm happy to welcome all of you to another episode, and especially those of you who may have one of these coveted X1 cameras. You can't quite see it. I got a little blue screen going on, so the blue part of the light's going through, but this is the X1 Ultra that we're going to be talking about. One of the things we'll be talking about today. Very happy to have you. And as always, be sure to throw your questions in the comments. The whole point of being here during the live show is that you can have the questions answered to the best of our ability. We don't have all the information, but you know, if you're asking what's going to be introduced next year, you might not get an answer. But if you have X1 questions or Iris questions, throw them in the comments, because you're here live, we're here live. That's the point of today's show. And as always, love to know where everybody is watching from. That's the whole point of live streaming, is we have this worldwide audience, including AJ Whitaker from Brisbane, Australia, and KC Kepu in Sydney, Australia. Fatah is over here in Gothenburg, Sweden. Let's see if there's anybody else. Ah, there we go. Felipe de Jesus Santos Brondo is in Mexico. I hope I did okay with that name. Just first time going through it. Steve Byers, Cairns, I believe that is in Australia. I don't know how to say that. And, no, I hate it when I click on the dots. Go away, go away. Take that away and come down here. And Musa cover band is in the Ukraine. That's all we have so far. If you haven't already, feel free to throw in where you're watching from today. And as always, throw in your questions for us. We Q&A at the end, but always, if you have a question in the middle of something about that particular thing, that would obviously be the best time to mention it. Also, for those who tune into these shows regularly, we are giving away BirdDog Multi-View Pro. If you haven't checked this out, you have this entire show to go to birddog.tv, click on the multi-view, and check it out what it can do. It's like multi-view on steroids, multi-views, all of which you can configure and reroute and change and do all kinds of crazy things. It is kind of crazy what Multi-View Pro can do. You will win a full license. Now, there's a very basic version. You see there's like 3 columns there. The basic version gives you like that one thing. The full versions give you everything. So you're going to win a full license to Multi-View Pro. All you have to do is go to bit.ly/BD for BirdDog entry, or use your cell phone or another device and scan the QR code. That will take you to an entry form where you put in your name, your email address again, because you might have typed it wrong, and that's how we're going to get in contact with you, so it's really important. And then tell us what BirdDog products you own, and then tell us what you'd like to see BirdDog make. This is your chance to ooh, I want to see a BirdDog electric car. I don't know, something very, something like that. So this will be given away at the end of this show. So if you're watching this like Thursday, don't bother to enter because it's already given away. This is the thing. You're here now during the live show, you get to win this. So, and there's 2 entries already. And that is very cool. I get to get the entries right over here on my screen so I can see them when they come in. Entry form is working. People are entering. They can win. They have a chance to win this. So today we will be talking about the X1 Advantage. The X1 comes in the X1 and the X1 Ultra. And we hoped to have 2 people on here today, but life happens. And today we will be talking with Christian, who is with us. And so welcome, Christian. Thank you very much for being there with me again today.
Absolutely. I keep having to adjust my white balance because the sun's setting here and it keeps changing what I look like.
And where are you located?
I'm in Detroit. I'm in the greater Detroit area.
Okay, so you probably got some cold weather there right now. You have a real Christmas weather, right?
Yeah, the last week it's been rather chilly, but we got a little bit of a warm front today and started to see some snow melt, so there's hope still.
Wait, started to see some snow melt. How much snow do you have?
We got 4 inches last Wednesday, and then followed it up with rain that same day.
I was just wondering, are you going to have a white Christmas, do you think?
Yeah, it's going to stick around. Like, it was 40 degrees today, and we still have, snow covering everything.
All right. Well, I'm down in Texas, because like I said, this is a worldwide show. I'm down in Texas. We got no snow. It was 60 degrees yesterday. And for those around in other parts of the world, that's about 15 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty darn warm. And I'm just averaging. Don't do the math on me. I know it's wrong. Anyway, anybody else chime in? Oh, we have, wow, a big Australian contingent today. Collingswood, Australia. Thank you for Castaway jumping in there.
We're in like the best time of the year for like the time zone difference between the US and Australia. It's actually like
right now it is, yes,
proper hours for them.
We fell back and they sprang forward, so there's more overlap. Chris isn't using a BirdDog. Are you using a BirdDog camera in front of you? Or is that a webcam?
Me? I'm on a BirdDog camera.
Yeah.
I'm on an X1 Ultra.
X1 HD with 20x. X1 Ultra is HD with 12x, and there's an X1 HD with a 30x zoom. Yes, we'll be covering that in a minute. Lucky you, it's too cold for me, says Space 777. Oh, and we have Justice Kornath from Germany. Very late there. Yes, it's probably it's 11 p.m. there. So anyway, let's jump right into this. I know we got a couple questions, but we're going to cover some of that with this. And we want to go through the X1 and the X1 line. So the X1 series, as that one comment mentioned, there's 3 different models. And so you got the X1, 1080p, 20x, the X1 Ultra for Ultra HD. For those who might not have picked that up, it's not just like a title, it's UHD. So
That's
it's
consistent
4K.
across all of our cameras too. So if you see Ultra following up any of our cameras, it's an immediate tick that it has 4K capability.
Now, just for clarification, it's UHD. It's not DCI, right? Or is it DCI capable too?
Put me on the spot, Anthony.
While he's looking that up, and then I will also mention that just this fall, the X1 had a new member added to the family because people were so clamoring for longer zoom. The X1 is also available in a 30x optical zoom, but that's just the HD model. It's not a 30x Ultra just yet. But the nice thing is these cameras are traditional video cameras. They have full IP or wireless. You can see it's got the little wireless camera on the back. Oh, camera. Wireless antenna. Thank you.
Yeah.
The wireless antenna on the back. And it's removable, so you can actually put a higher gain antenna on here. You can put a directional antenna on here, depending upon your specific needs, wherever you might be.
Or if you're shipping it to remote talent, you can remove it to make it a little bit safer in transit.
You could do that too, and then just have them put it on. And actually, that's how it comes. The antenna comes separate. And
It's
then,
in
of
a
course,
little accessory box.
you have the DC input. You have RS-232. You have a USB-C for UVC mode, so you can actually use this like a webcam.
That's what I'm doing right now, actually.
Do you have it like resting on a little stand on top of your monitor?
I have a
It's got
really
some weight to it.
dinky tripod screwed into the bottom of it, and then I have it pushed up against my monitors, and I have the charge cable from my MacBook plugged into the back of the camera and then into the front of my Mac Mini.
Dang, okay, they really are using it like a webcam. So again, HDMI, USB-C for AV and hybrid meetings, and those are not exclusive, simultaneous, as well as NDI, right? And this model, I believe, can do 2 streaming, right? So you can do NDI and something else.
Yeah, so you can have NDI will be the primary encode that you can configure, and then the secondary encoder you can configure between, RTSP, SRT, RTMP, and then in addition to the NDI stream, you'll always get out the UVC as well. And then if you're in encode mode, you can pull out the live camera feed from the HDMI port on the back of the camera as well. Or we're probably putting the cart before the horse a little bit here, but if we switch it over to decode mode, that HDMI port will then act as the HDMI out for the built-in NDI HX decoder.
That's the last point on our little
Yeah.
thing there. So NDI, HX2, HX3, SRT, RTMP, RTSP. Pick your flavor.
Alphabet soup, it does it. Whatever your workflow is, the camera can do it.
PoE, which is actually how I've got mine set up. You can see that it's on, and it's literally HDMI cable coming. Actually, I don't need the HDMI. That was for a different setup. So I take the HDMI out. Literally, so it's on, and the only cable I have plugged in here is the Ethernet cable. And just to clarify, because I know there are certain models with batteries, the X1 series is not one of the battery ones, right?
Correct. So it'll power, and I see that we have a comment asking about USB-C power. It will not power with USB-C, but you can get power either through PoE Plus or via
the DC adapter.
The DC 12-volt power.
Yeah, because
and
this
in the box, it comes with adapters for international. So when you purchase it, if you're not in the US and you don't have our, not great, power adapter, there's likely your region's power adapter that'll work with the DC in the box as well.
Yes, this is not a webcam. This is, it's a lot more powerful. It also takes a lot more power. And it has a lot more zoom. So, let me put a 30x on my monitor.
I could. So like what actually I could do is If
Uh-oh, here we
I
go.
wanted to, I could switch. So my X1 Ultra, I have it in 1080p 30. If I wanted to, I can switch it over to teleconvert mode, which will here. Actually, Anthony, I can just share my screen real quick if you want,
All right, let's
instead
do
of
that.
me just talking ambiently. Me.
So, and they all the X1s have the wireless capability as well.
Yeah. All right. Are you able to see my screen, Anthony? I just want to make
Yes, we
sure.
can see it now.
All right. So this is just my X1 Ultra on firmware that's available on our website right now. And if I come into cam control, this little teleconvert feature, what it'll do is it'll take the X1 Ultra from being a 12x zoom to a 24x zoom. And that's using a center image crop. So we're not going to lose any of our image integrity as we zoom in. So I can really zoom in on myself here if I want to. Yeah, if I can get something a little bit more interesting like this poster behind me.
Yeah, let's do that because it's got more detail.
It does.
I feel like I'm zooming into space.
Yeah. An old like 1970s space poster. And me
Oh, so
shaking the standings X really isn't going to do anything to help.
so in that poster, Pluto is still a planet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by far. And then so I can zoom back out for effect just to kind of give an idea.
Of how
Yeah,
far
and
that
this
really
camera
is.
is, beyond an arm length in front of me. So it
It's
gives
some
it a
good
pretty
reach there.
substantial zoom. So it really, if you want more zoom, and you don't always use a 4K resolution, it gives you a little bit more flexibility with the X1 Ultra and a little bit more beyond what the X1 can do itself with the 20X.
Right, right. So let's tackle a couple of these. Let's look at some of these comments that came in. Do, 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 do. Justin Cornath says, need help with the autofocus. What's the best setting for people talking on stage that the autofocus will not pump or put the background in focus? So I was just thinking, since you had the screen share going on.
Yeah. Here, let me pull that back up.
All right.
So in the same screen that we were in the camera control tab, there's this advanced tab. And what this will do is it allows us to control advanced modes of the autofocus itself. And out of the box, it'll likely come on normal, and it'll be in center and middle, or what the default settings for it are. If you're working with someone that's on stage and they're not moving a lot, if it's someone that's at a podium, or if you're at a house of worship with at a pulpit or general conferencing, what I would recommend is doing live or normal. In that environment, I wouldn't expect that you're going to have a huge difference between the two. But I think the biggest thing for you will be taking the sensitivity down to low. Where you're seeing the pumping is where it's taking every little movement, and it's like, oh, okay, let me refocus. The scene changed. Let me grab that focus again, and popping it down to low is going to increase the threshold substantially for the movement for it to trigger a refocus.
Right,
And
right.
then, of course, if if your frame is varied, so if your talent is typically on the left, right side of the screen, you can change the the focus area, so to the left or to the right side of the frame. I don't have a great view of myself right now, but it allows you to put the focus in a different spot. So if you have talent in both sides of the screen, so if you have a left and a right talent, I've seen people literally just toggle between left and right to pop, the two of them in focus in a really low effort way.
Yep.
And then also on our knowledge base through our website, we have an article that goes over these modes too in a little bit more detail in word vomit than I've given you right now, but where it gives some specific distance measurements and outlines the scenes that we have for all of the modes, as well as the sensitivity and all of that. So this is available on our website or through our website. If you go to the support tab and then knowledge base, it will take you to that page. And then if you go to the X1 section, you'll be able to find that article.
Yes, and for anyone that doesn't know, BirdDog, BirdDog, 2Ds, .tv is the website, and it's very well laid out. The sport area is very well laid out. Lots of information in terms of documents, firmware, and instructions there. Very easy to navigate and get through, and it's not like anything is difficult to find. And I really appreciate that about the website. Whoever's in charge of that, kudos to that team.
Dogger and Phoebe do a great job.
Also, in terms of controlling, Justin says he built his own PT controller with Companion on a Raspberry Pi and a Stream Deck from Elgato. So you don't actually need to, it is nice to have a joystick in terms of speed and, different features you can do. And the PTZ controller from BirdDog also gives you the screen so you can dive into the actual menus of the camera you're controlling without having to even use a computer. Those are advantages. But if you already have an Elgato Stream Deck, you can actually build PTZ control into the hardware you already have. And then once you use that a while, you'll be like, I need to get a joystick.
This is a good opportunity to replug that we've updated our Companion plugin with all of our X Series cameras for control. So we're fully supported on there as well.
So getting back to our list, the AI tracking is kind of what you were talking about right there, is the fact that it's not the tracking of old per se. It will actually follow someone based on, the shape of their body. So if somebody else were to walk in front, it knows, I've been told to track this person. I'm going to keep tracking that person.
Absolutely. It's really more powerful than I think we give it credit for. And I think our best demos of it have been on trade show floors. That the next time we have one, the next one I do in January, I'm going to record the demo that I do of it because it's so good, where I can have a colleague walk in front of me as I'm pacing the floor and it's following me, and it won't lose me, even if I try to do a Born Identity thing and sneak behind him and get lost. It'll remember where I'm at. It'll pause for a second, and then as I emerge, it'll be like, oh, there you are, and continue on tracking. And if it does lose the target, it's not just going to wander off to the moon. You can have it return to a central location.
And then also, if you don't want it to go too far, I think that you can also go in there and set boundaries, like just cover the front of the lecture hall. Don't just wander off to the side and backwards and things like that.
And when we get into those more advanced, so we don't have that on the X1s yet. So we'll get more of those advanced AI tracking that we go up through the line into the XL Ultra. Okay. And the 04 will get the ability to define the boundaries.
All right.
But we are able to define the size of the figure that's being tracked, the tracking area where it starts, what position in the frame you want them, and how long you want them to hold in the spot for retention if they're no longer in frame.
Cool. Next up is connectivity. So the X1 series is HDMI. So you've got, HD or UHD over HDMI, as well as NDI, SRT, RTMP or RTSP. You can use wireless because it's got built-in Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. So if you've got power somewhere, but you don't necessarily have 100-foot HDMI to run, you can actually do wireless NDI or wireless SRT. And we were actually talking with someone last week or in the last show, we were talking about the fact that for portable churches, this is really cool because they could just walk them out on mic stands, put them down, and then if they need to move them, like, okay, now this is going to be over there, or we're going to have a choir this time and things like that, and set them where they need to be for that service, and then you take them back and they're not sitting out there the whole time. So that's really handy.
Yeah, it really gives a lot of flexibility, and you can also have the wired connection and the Wi-Fi connection done at the same time as well. So you can have two separate IPs, and it gives you the ability to toggle between. So if you're like, I want to run a wireless show because it works well for me, and my laptop runs better off of Wi-Fi than worrying about having to have a wired connection to it. You can set the cameras to their primary NIC being Wi-Fi, and then if your router decides to dip or there's too many people on the same Wi-Fi channel in that environment, you can go into the cameras and change the primary NIC back over to Ethernet without having to reconfigure things, and it'll then send information primarily over the Ethernet.
And one of the other key things is, it used to be like, well, I don't know what the IP address of my camera is. Well, now you do. It's right there. It's on the camera. So there's my X1 Ultra. There it is. It's telling me my resolution. It's telling me the IP address. And you can just walk up to the camera and be like, oh, okay. And if you need to access it via the web page browser, just like, he was doing, that's the IP address. And once you type in the IP address into your web browser, you're actually browsing the camera and able to access all that information directly. So whether you've got an iPad on the wireless network or a laptop or something like that, once you know that number, you're in.
Yeah, and what's really cool with that e-ink display now is you're able to define a custom image to it if you want to. So in the web UI of the camera, we've set parameters for the image. So there's a particular size and it has to be like a BMP file, but you can upload a custom image. So if you're a house of worship and you just want, your church's logo to be on there instead of, the IP information of your video network, you can do that. If you're an integrator who wants to put on passive advertising because your client doesn't care what's on it, great. If you want to leave it as the default for all the active, live IP information, amazing. Or you can just turn it off.
If you have multiple cameras and you want camera 1 to always be in a certain spot, camera 2 to always be in a certain spot, camera 3 to always be in a certain spot, you can number your cameras. Well, yeah. I mean, you got the number on the back too.
It's just creative. So it gives you the flexibility for whatever, point of creativity you have that works within your workflow.
Question came in terms of, I would be very interested in the difference between my X1 and an Ultra. I think the key difference is 4K. That's the main key difference.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing is, and also the X1 will work up to 60 frames at 1080p 60, where the X1 Ultra just does 30 frames. We don't get 60 frames out of it.
And I think we actually had a question about that the last show, I think, and it was because the camera is always acquiring at 4K, and it's a 4K P30 sensor. And then if you just want HD, you're taking HD off of that, but the 4K sensor can't do 60p. That's why that camera, it's not like it's hobbled in some way. It's a different sensor. It's a
Yeah.
different capture rate.
Nailed it.
So that is the key difference. And I had a question, just piggybacking on that.
Yeah.
If I have the X1 HD, the HDMI out, what is the rest? Is there a difference in resolution of the HDMI out in between the Ultra and not Ultra? Mm.
No.
So am I able to do HD out of both, 4K out of both?
No, so you're not going to get 4K out of the HDMI on the
On the X1?
X1, but you will get 4K out of the X1 Ultra.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was something I wanted to clarify as well, just in case somebody is like, well, we're 4K everywhere.
It's not going to res it up, on the X1.
But if you have a 4K monitor and you plug an HD into it, it's going to blow it up onto the whole screen anyway.
Some say, your displays will upscale it.
We have an Iris question I see. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But I do want to, we've been going for about 30 minutes and the crowd has grown. If you haven't already, go to bit.ly, BD entry for BirdDog entry, and you can win a copy of Multiview Pro. And as I said, if you don't know what Multiview Pro is, it's like Multiview, multi-views on steroids. You design what it looks like, how many are on there, and then you can send these multi-views wherever you want. There's a free one that gives you a little taste, but this is the full license. And then if you have a cell phone and you're watching this on a computer, you can use your cell phone and scan the QR code. It'll take you to an entry form. We have a good number of entries already, but there's still room for more. So if you haven't entered already, it will be given away during today's show. So enter, don't hesitate. And then
I see a couple questions here I can probably knock out.
Okay.
I see that Castaway Studios was asking about how best to match their X4 Ultras and their X1 Ultras. And this is a great plug for our free cam control software that we've recently updated to be able to support our X series cameras. And in that, you'll be able to pull in both your X1s and your X4 and be able to see the video side by side of all of them, and then be able to edit the settings of them side by side as well. So if you want to edit the picture settings to tune them in because of different positions and just because they're different cameras, that's probably the easiest way to do it in my experience. And hopefully, because they are the same Sony sensor, even though the X4s is a little bit larger, it should give a pretty solid starting ground to get those matched. And then Luke Hayes is asking about KBD movements with the X1 and making it more granular. And we do have a really great way to do this with a mode called Superfine on the KBD. And there's two different ways you can do this that'll actually take your pan tilt speed down to 1/10 of what it originally was, where you can either hold the shift button down while you're making your PTZ movement with the joystick, and you'll see that the pan and tilt will be 1/10 of that speed. And then also the joystick button in the KBD UI is actually configurable. And we've made one of the selections for that to be the Superfine mode toggle. So if you set that button to a Superfine, just clicking the button will switch it between that Superfine being on and off, so you don't have to hold that shift button down. So as long as you have it toggled on, whatever camera you're controlling will give you that very granular motion.
We also had another question come in. Was that a digital zoom, or was that the lens actually zooming all the way in or going wide?
That was an optical, assuming when we were doing the X1 Ultra.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's using the optical lens, no additional on top of it, because it's just center cropping the image. Because it's a 4K sensor, we're able to basically do cool math and just take the middle of the image from the sensor and get that zoom doubled.
So it's zooming to the end of the optical range and then cropping in on the sensor to HD, to the
Yes.
HD resolution. So you're not losing any resolution, but you are going a little bit beyond what the optical can do, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Because I am moderator and camera operator at the same time, that's a challenge. Can I do presets where I can adjust the autofocus and the camera will jump to that preset and the correct focus point?
If you're doing, I think, in my experience, and there might be a better way to do this than I've thought of, but would be doing a manual focus if you have different presets. If it's a common enough look, especially if it's someone that's on stage, usually where the person is, a focus range won't vary too much depending on who's in that spot. If we can get it focus to that spot. So I would almost recommend trying to have your manual focus defined to the preset. So if you save your presets to camera and not PTZ only, you can save that manual focus information to the preset if you have it manually defined to those, where the advanced AF, the advanced autofocus modes will be universal to the camera while those are changed.
And I also find it very handy, like if I know I've got a left podium and a right podium and I might have to bounce between them depending on which seminar and which moderator, where the moderator is going to be, I'll go to the left podium, set my shot, get the autofocus, set it to manual, then save the preset.
Yeah.
Because remember, these we're not dealing with Super 35 sensors or full frame sensors here, like, some cameras. You're going to get some depth of field out that far. So as long as it's got that focus, and then you're good within a span of some feet. And then I'll go over to the right podium. This is my right shot. Hit the autofocus button. It focuses. Go back to manual. Then save the preset. So I've got those two set, and it knows where that focus should be. And then once somebody's there, somebody moves around a little bit, or like they move back from the podium and they're looking a little soft, I can put it back in the autofocus.
And then actually on the X1s, what's really great is we have a one push focus. So in the UI of the X1s, when you flip over to manual focus, a one push button becomes clickable that you can push that'll just pump the focus to be able to bring it in. And just like it was doing autofocus, but it keeps you in that manual mode.
This is a good technical question. I don't know if you might have the answer to this one. Using the BirdDog camera, but with the PTZ Optics controller, is there an API command for VESA over IP to toggle the AI tracking on and off?
I don't have the API yet, but we do have a VISCA command for it, I believe. If you reach out to our support team at help@birddog.tv, let them know that you're on the show and you asked about this, and then they'll get it over to me, and then I can get you that VISCA command.
All right. I'm going to continue with this. So we're talking about the AI tracking. Good enough. Advanced subject tracking for the human body and head modes, depending upon how small you're going to make it.
Yep.
And I find it's still good to have an operator, because I've been in charge of like doing conferences where I'm trying to manage 4 cameras, and if I can have a camera do most of the heavy lifting and I'm just there to correct it, if it tends to go a little bit astray, that tends to work the best. It's almost like, these days with cars that give you that lane guidance. So you went a little bit too far to the side, come back into the middle.
Yeah. It's just a bump, unless you have somebody that's like really wiggly.
Yeah.
Up there. I've tried doing it like tests on my end where I just have my camera on the desk like this, and then I've tried just turning on AI tracking for like my Teams calls, and then I wobble like in my chair enough that at this short distance it wants to follow me within the frame. I was like, this is too much movement. It's probably really obnoxious to everyone else on the call.
Yeah. So you need to like really assess how much you need for that particular situation. Again, it's always situation dependent.
Yes.
The night again, we're talking about the built-in NDI decoder. So you're getting two pieces of equipment for the price of one almost. You're getting the camera, but you're also getting the return feed. So that if you've got one of these down in the front of stage, you've also got your floor monitor output right there on that same cable as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So even if you, what I've seen be done a lot for this is if you have a camera at the back of like a hall, or a house of worship, and you're shooting, down to the center stage, and the camera in front of the operator just happens to be, where that camera lands, that's the camera that you can pull out to have um, the other two, and to be able to switch between the two of them as a preview, depending on whatever you're doing that day. So you can use that camera directly for your operator, even um, for control.
And then
So what you could do also, and I've done this, where if you're using our KBD controller, it has a router where it'll route the source over NDI for whatever is actively being controlled. So you can send that KBD router NDI source to the decoder, and then whatever cam you have selected on the KBD, it'll send through the decoder.
that's very cool too. And I've also seen them used because churches tend to put the cameras on the back wall. But then again, they also want the people who are, in front of the cameras to see what's going on. So they can actually put a program monitor right there showing them what's on the, it's like, oh, I'm on, so I can speak to the camera now because the camera's looking at me, or scripture is up or something else is up. They can see what's going on in the stream because you're just taking the HDMI out of the camera and feeding it into the monitor that's right next to it.
Absolutely. It really gives you flexibility to whatever it looks like, whether it's the confidence monitor, whether it's the production feed, whether it's, a preview for the operator. It gives you a lot of flexibility. And I think the real theme with the X1s overall is they're not unique to any particular type of environment or install, but they're extremely flexible to whatever environment you need a PTZ to work within.
One of the things, I mean, we talked about a bunch of these things. One of the things we didn't talk about is the halo tally.
Yeah.
Is this, very, you can see it from behind to all the way behind the camera. And I find it really makes it easy for everyone to know what's going on, as opposed to something that's only shining forward. So the talent can know what's on, but the crew doesn't know which camera to not walk in front of, type of thing.
Yeah. And even if you're not using a traditional tally, we've also taken the RGB lights that are in it and made it configurable. So we have 7 different colors on the X1s that you can choose from to just have the Cali light up as. So if you want it to be blue or red or green, or just the regular white all the time, whatever your preference is, because there are people that, instead of using the silicone numbers on the back, like to be able to name it different colors. So you can just look at it and be like, okay, the yellow camera, the blue camera, white
And in one
camera.
place, I can really see that come into play, as Rode has done a whole color gamut with their microphones and boom arms and stuff like that. I can definitely imagine a podcast studio doing blue, orange, yellow, and green. And then, so if you're sitting at the green mic, you're talking to the green camera. And if you're sitting at the yellow mic, you're talking to the yellow camera.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy, especially if you've got a podcast facility and you got people coming in that aren't used to like television stuff.
Makes it more accessible.
It definitely makes it more accessible and easy for them to remember. It's like, oh, I'm talking into a green micro. Oh, green's me. I'm green.
Yeah.
Custom logo and IP address coming.
Tricky. That's an interesting thought. Maybe. I'm not going to say no. We haven't actively gone down that route, but it could be pursued. Probably what we'd have to do is just split the size of the image and and keep a default and then a smaller of the actual image. But I think the more current use case would be if you are running like a static environment, or if you're working your cameras off of like a DHCP reservation, and you always know what that IP address is going to be, put that IP address in your custom image.
There you go. Could you recommend a reliable Wi-Fi router for a small scale location?
I would recommend looking at your choice of flavor of Netgear routers. We have a lot of experience, particularly with their Pro AV routers and access points that work really great for us. We use it in all of our offices. We use it at our trade shows, and it's what we rely on and what we test on.
And depending upon when you're going to install, BirdDog is also working on a Wi-Fi access point that should handle 4 cameras, is it?
That was the original scope of it.
Oh, so the new scope is 17 cameras. No, I'm just putting you on the spot. Let's see. Will Auto Patrol be coming to the X1 series? And can you put the access to it in the UI? What is Auto Patrol?
Would that be like you're following a particular path? So like there's point A and then there's point B, and then you automatically follow that path, and then you can go back and then follow it again. If that's the case, it won't be coming to the X1s in particularly, but there is some pretty cool stuff coming to the KBD very soon in that regard as well.
All right, we got another question come in. Why is there no HD Mach-E that has NDI matching the X1 series? Because the Mach-E are 4K.
No particular reason. The Mach-E Ultras can do 1080, and yeah.
They can do 1080, but I think, again, they're still limited to the 30 frames a second, though, right? Because of the 4K sensor.
No, they're 4K 60 sensors.
Oh, okay. So if you've got 4K 60, you can pull HD out of it. And because of, do they also have that digital crop at the end? So
they do have that teleconvert mode where you can switch them. So we have 2 different versions of the Mach-E Ultra. We have a 12x optical and a 20x optical. And then, so when you put them in teleconvert and run them in 1080p, you can get a 24 or a 40x zoom out of them, respectively.
A 40x zoom in HD, I think, is pretty darn impressive. Is there a list of all of the shortcuts on the KBD?
Not one that's good enough yet. My holiday break is me rewriting the KBD user guide, because there's so many things that we have added to it that the user guide has not caught up with as fast. So we're doing a rewrite of it to make it more engageable and to cover more detail of specific things, because we've really added a lot of little things that are in there that are kind of just in our brains right now that come out in shows like this. But I'm working on getting that in written form very, very soon.
All right, let me jump back to, before we forget, if you are watching the show live, you get to enter to win a full license of Multiview Pro. You can either type in bit.ly, BD entry, and you'll get a full copy. There is a free version that gives you just a little taste of it, but this is for the full license, BD entry. Or if you're viewing this on a computer and you got your cell phone with you, you can scan the QR code with your cell phone. That will take you to an entry form, fill it out, and then you can enter to win. We will be giving that away not too long from now. One other thing that we really wanted to touch on in this show is Iris. And by that we don't mean a
Real
lady
quick
who,
before we
yeah.
dive into Iris, we had a clarification on the, where did it go? The auto patrol. So following the presets automatically. I wonder if that's the zone tracking. And the answer to that is yes, where you can set up zone A, zone B, zone C, zone D, where if your target leaves that defined frame, it will then follow them to that next zone. So yeah, the X1 does have that as well.
All right. Uh,
Back
couple
to
more
Iris.
questions.
Sorry, I threw us off.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll tackle the rest of these questions before we dive into Iris too. I have a 2 times P4K and 2 times 120. How is the Max camera different from the X1?
The Max is like a cousin to the X1. We really designed it with a lot of AV spaces in mind. Um, it has a very similar sensor, the same sensor as the X1 Ultra, where it's that 4K 30 frame sensor. But its defining feature is the 90-degree field of view. Yes. And then we stripped a lot of the fancy stuff out of it. So we stripped the decoder out of it, and we stripped the Wi-Fi out of it, as well as the tally light. And then we dropped the price. So no tally light, no Wi-Fi, no decoder, but you get a 4K 90-degree field of view camera for $895.
And the key thing is it's the same sensor. So
Yeah.
you're not going to have a distinctly different view.
Nope. And it doesn't
than the
give you like a
X1s.
fisheye effect or anything. I've used the Max for my webcam on a couple of these live shows before, I think.
Can you show us the AI tracking setting for speakers at a lectern? Screen share to show the box would be great. Yeah, we can do screen share. That's a live show. This is what we do.
I don't have a great demo for it right now because it's just me in my gray office, but
and you don't have a podium in your office.
No, I just have a desk that takes up all the space.
Yeah.
All right, so if we're in AI tracking, so what we'll want to do is, so presenter is just me, single subject in frame, and it would follow me, as I move. And then zone tracking.
That's if the tracking was on.
Yeah.
There you go.
What we get is 4 defined areas, so zone A, B, C, D, and then we can save zone A, and then if I turn it off, because you lose your PTZ control when tracking is on, and I can save, zone B. Save zone C. And then if I wanted to save zone D, and then you could delete them respectively as well. And so imagine you have, a lectern or different spots on stage. If I were to leave zone A and, or let's say if I leave zone B for just framing purposes here, if I leave zone B and it doesn't see me here anymore, after the retention time, it would go to zone C to look for me there. And if I wasn't there, it would go down the line.
So it would just keep looking through the available zones until it found the subject moving.
Correct. And here I am again. Boom. And then I'll kill that for a moment until we go actually into Iris.
All right.
I don't know if we're ready for it yet.
Not yet. We got two more questions. Does the BirdDog X1 output full NDI or NDI HX? Specifically, does it support the latest HX3?
Yes,
Yeah.
all of
Yes.
our cameras support NDI-HX3. Just to be a nerd, NDI-HX2 and NDI-HX3 are really the same compression when it comes down to it, but NDI-HX3 has standards built around it where you're guaranteed to get latency below 100 milliseconds. And that comes with configuration requirements of having a constant bit rate that's dependent upon whatever resolution you're using, and then having a fixed GOP of 20. So yes, all of our cameras are NDHX3 and work with that, assuming that it is configured for that.
And I will say, having tested like over a year ago when the X1 first came out, I put the X1 next to a P200, which is full NDI. And the big selling point with full NDI was it's the fastest. And the X1 using HX3 was faster than the older P200.
Yeah.
Using full NDI. And, not like not that much fast, but it wasn't slower.
Yeah.
It was faster. So HX3
because where it
is
gives
definitely
you the 100 millisecond, where NDI is like it has to be below 100 milliseconds glass to glass. We've taken the time to over engineer it so that we can get a latency that exceeds that standard.
And then we talked about this earlier. Are we any closer to the wireless access point adapter shipping?
I think there'll be an update on that soon. I don't have all of the information on it, but I think there'll be an update on it soon.
Is there any loss using NDI rather than HDMI? I mean, technically,
yes.
Yes, but visually observable difference. Having
How good
done,
are your eyes?
How good are your eyes? How close are you to the monitor? And how slow is what's happening changing? The visual quality difference between the two, especially with HX3. You get HX3 with a healthy data rate. Don't drag the slider all the way down to nothing, and make sure you're not looking at the preview version. HX3 is that cake and eat it too. It's lower than full NDI, it's faster than full NDI, and it looks indistinguishable. It's there. It really is the promise of NDI finally, I think, fully realized in delivering this great video quality at really affordable bit rates around your local area network. People say, well, NDI is nothing compared to SMPTE 2110. I'm like, I'm doing HD and it looks fantastic.
Yeah. It's different use cases. I think they're designed for different environments, and when you're getting to when your standards are different, the protocols that you're going to use are going to be different.
And and I personally feel like 90% or more of the audience will never be able to distinguish, like oh, just look at this, oh my God, no, those days are gone. That in the beginning, when you had a choice between HX1, which most people are going to forget about, and full NDI, there was more of a difference. Now with HX3, I think it's really delivering high quality at good bit rates fast. And those are the three wins in my book.
Yeah, it's kind of like comparing like music streaming, where like you get into like the SMPTE 2110 stuff, and like it's maybe like the vinyl of video over IP, where NDI is more like a digital streaming of FLAC files, where it's a really high amount of data that's coming through, and it sounds really great, but it's not the raw file. It's not the raw recording. It's still digital. You're still losing things, but it's a very few people are going to notice the difference between that high res audio download that you're streaming off of, like Apple Music versus, a vinyl record.
Hmm. I had an interesting question here regarding the NDI decoder. Can it decode full NDI, or is it just limited to HX2, HX3?
It is an HX decoder. I try to always clarify that when I
Yeah,
can,
I,
because it'll
I
just
forgot to
do the
mention that
HX2,
too.
HX3.
Yes, that is a key point, because there are full NDI workflows out there, and also most of the time from if you're doing vMix and you're outputting the program from your vMix, that's going to be computer encoded as full NDI. So there are ways to, with Bridge and things like that to
Mhm.
transcode that to HX, and obviously Connect can do that as well. So you can take full and, make the flavor that you need wherever you might need it. But those are certain limitations within the system itself.
Yeah,
So
there's enough ways to be able to change those formats now.
let us jump into Iris, because this is something new that has popped up in the last. When did the big push come for Iris? Late
I think
November.
it was 2 weeks ago. Was it like I think it was the second, is when everything went live.
And
It's really, really exciting, honestly. It's a really cool um, piece of technology and software, I guess, is probably the way to put it, that we've had the amazing opportunity to partner with them on for direct integration into our cameras. So Iris is essentially remote control of your cameras with just a keyboard and mouse over the internet, where you can do PTZ control, image control, remotely over the cloud from anywhere in the world. And now on our X1 cameras, you can connect to it directly, your camera, and we can actually do that real quick with one of mine. I can show you how easy it is. And to get started with Iris, it's actually free, so it's not like we're trying to charge you anything. And we do have a free trial like code available on our website. But before I just ramble forever, let me start sharing.
And while you're doing that, let me throw this question in because I know people are going to ask. So, is Iris a BirdDog creation? Like, is it part of Connect?
No, BirdDog is not Iris. Iris is a Audinate company, um, and they're their own thing. So they work with a lot of different companies. So it's not just BirdDog. And you can pull in, I believe, most any IP-based camera into it. But the value add we've really looked for is direct integration. So looking at our X1 web UI right here, nothing substantially stays the same. But with this latest firmware, you'll see that on the left, we now have Iris. And clicking this, we get taken to this page where you'll see your X1 camera, and then it just prompts us to link our device, or if I click learn more here, it'll take us to the Iris website. And also, I think it's important to note that all of this is predicated on internet access. So if you don't have, so if you're on a computer that's not connected to the internet, you're not going to see this frame because it's all pulling from the great wide interwebs. So
Right.
if I
So,
click, yeah, go ahead.
Iris is for remote control. That's the
Yes.
key thing. And so it's not necessarily for the operator sitting next to you with a KBD. The Iris is for like if you wanted to send a camera somewhere and still have control over it, or if you have cameras and you wanted to give remote operators control of your cameras without having to fly them in, type of thing.
Right. Yeah. So if you wanted to, so if I'm like a producer, if I'm Anthony's producer, let's do it this way, and I want to set up a camera for him, and I'm going to set up this X1 camera, I can go through this process, link it to my Iris account, and then I could mail this over to Anthony. And then once he connects it up to his network on the internet, I will see it load into my Iris account. And then I can PTZ control, change the color grading for his environment and all of that completely remotely. So if I just click link device here,
And
And
as
then it's going to pop me over to this tab. So it'll give us a new tab. And then I'm already logged in. So otherwise it would be prompting me to log into my Iris account. So I will continue. I'm going to select my studio here. And then it's going to ask for the credentials, which is just admin. And then the password is going to be the password for your web UI. So since it prompts you to change it, whatever you change the password for your web UI access to, that's what it's going to be. Mine is just BirdDog, and I just capitalize it,
you've got the same
grammatically correct.
password I do.
Oh no!
I mean, even when prompted to change it, I change it to bird dog.
All right. So we see my camera loads up here, so I can see my camera feed. So if I put my hand here, we know it's live. And let's see, if I can actually move. We can actually use this joystick movement. And I can pan it over towards me.
Well, it's like flying Apollo 13.
It is. And this is all just with a mouse. So it's not with a particular, fancy PTZ controller or anything.
It looks like it was even dampened. So you can start a move and it didn't stop.
It went. Yeah, so as I pull it over more, it's adjusting the speed. So if you are used to using like NDI Studio Monitor and how you use their joystick and it ramps based upon how far you move the joystick over, it's a very similar thing.
Well, but the fact that it ramps when it stops too is quite interesting because it's like designed to work in a live studio environment where you don't want it to just jerk to a stop as soon as you
Correct.
stop. I let go, gunk.
It's really nice. And I think there's a couple of things here that are really, really cool. Is this, what do they call it? The center point. So where I can click and it'll take that to the center of my frame where I click. So if I have multiple people on stage and I want to be able to switch and make them the center,
Okay.
it is a very quick shot to be able to do that. And then my favorite is probably the smart frame. Is that what they call it? I forget, fast frame. And it gives you this little green box that just moving my mouse can define. And then if I use the roller ball on my mouse, I can actually change the size of this frame. So if I pull it in pretty tight here, and let's just come in on this little astronaut's head here. I click and it's going to show me a preview of that frame. And if I click again, it's going to take me there.
That is super tight.
Yeah. And then, of course, so like I mentioned that we just have regular movement. So if you just want to do regular PTZ control, we have all of that here as well. So from a movement perspective, whatever you're seeing in the web UI is available here. And then if I click over to image, we're able to, change our image settings all here as well. And the video that we're looking at coming through is actually an RTSP connection. And we have an article in our knowledge base that kind of goes over the best practices for setting that up because it's a really low bandwidth configuration requirement where it just works with H.264 encoding right now for the connection. And then for the best use case, having a really low bit rate of around 3. So what I use as the standard is our low profile. It gives you a bit rate of 3 and then a GOP of 20 is what I use for the connection, and I find that to be the most stable experience.
We got the question that I expected, and if it didn't come up, I was going to ask it for myself. How to give access to another person. So, and that's the thing that comes up. I noticed you said you went into a studio. So, is there, the other aspect to this is managing operators,
Yeah,
you
so
know.
you can define accounts and um, I haven't done a lot with sharing it out, to be honest. I've mostly messed with my cameras directly, but um, I believe it's the share button here. And you can invite them with a link directly. So if I wanted to just give them a link or put in their email address here,
Oh, send me a
I
link.
can invite them into the studio and then see who's there as a guest. And then they also have local apps available. So on my Mac, if I wanted to download the Iris Studio and just run cameras locally using their platform without having to connect up to the internet, I can do that. And you can actually pull in sources uh, over NDI that way when you're running it locally. And then what's really neat, I mentioned that we have a promo code that I want to make sure I can share. So on our website, just birddog.tv/iris, you can find all the fancy information here. And then included, Iris did a great job of doing a little walkthrough that was a more formal version of what I did, showing you how to onboard it, the 2 clicks that it takes just to get started. And then when you go to sign up, if you use the code BD free, you'll get a free upgrade to their standard account for a month. So you can actually connect more than one camera and be able to have a little bit more usability with it to get started and see how it works for you. So this is available on any X1 camera using firmware that's out on our website right now. And it's available. I encourage people to play around with it because it's a really cool tool that builds upon workflows that we already have. I imagine that people will ask and be like, well, what about your BirdDog Connect? Can't I do control with Connect? I'm like, you can. But I think what works really, really cool is if you're using our Connect software to be able to bring in your sources and route them and distribute your production, you can still use Iris for your remote control. And then that way you're able to do all of that control with just a mouse from your desk while, maybe on your second monitor, you're monitoring your live broadcast.
And I think that's the key thing also to point out to people because Connect is the high bandwidth video connection. So you're sending that 50 megabit NDI signal through Connect. Iris is camera control. So as you said, you were talking about 3 megabits. It's a preview that you get to see, that the operator gets to see, but it's not delivering the high bandwidth video to the camera operator, and you're going to need to do that via a separate path.
Correct. Yeah. So it's designed for your control aspect, not the distribution of your video.
Right. But in terms of, let's just say, a regular corporate meeting hall and something like that, I can have operators come in without having to actually sit in the control room. They can just, log into the control room. I see that they're logged into the control room and they're controlling the cameras. And then you're able to have them operate the cameras during the, whatever hour-long conference without having to have them come in, physically be there in the room with you.
Absolutely.
And you're taking the, you could be operating your cameras via HDMI, and then you're using the Ethernet connection for the Iris control that is enabling, you're not trying to pass a lot of high bandwidth video for a lot of different cameras, and you can even divide up. You got camera 2, 3, and 4, you got camera 5, 6, and 7, etc., like that.
Yeah, and it's cool. And then still within Iris, you can define like different presets for your frames and your color. Scenes as well. So if you're on a live production stage that has lights, which who doesn't now? And your scene colors change based upon that. You need to change your color presets. All of that can be changed and adjusted from that same iris window as well. So it's a really powerful tool that I think the direct integration that we have with them is a huge value add to our cameras.
Can an operator use a controller to operate the cameras?
Yes.
There you go. Another question came in. On the free version of Iris, which you get on the X1, you can have up to 3 invited guests.
Well, that's CJ. He's popping in with his knowledge.
Oh, okay. Thanks, CJ. You can have up to 3 invited guests have access to the camera. I want to see them do a tug of war. All right, all of you, CJ, you pan left. Christian, you pan right.
All fight over the Visca commands.
That could be kind of fun. It'd be like, okay, there's a target over here. There's a target over here, and there's a target over here. Whoever can get the camera to point at the target wins. We had a couple non-Iris questions come in. And of course, as I go to click on something, it jumps. HX3 decoding via the quad. Please, please, please.
So soon. So soon.
I know we've been saying that for a while.
So soon. I don't want to steal CJ's thunder on it, so I'm just going to say so soon.
Is there a way to send audio to the Iris operator through the camera? Do they get camera audio in the Iris interface?
This is where me not being an Iris employee is my gap right now. I don't know. I haven't played with that.
If only there was someone here, someone in the chat who could throw that question in. We have to wait 20 seconds till they see it. And then we had a good question come in, workflow question. Using a Blackmagic ATEM for switching, using the X1 over Ethernet, but picture over HDMI, how can I do my switching when I want to just use Ethernet, NDI, and I get my multi-view? Well, ATEMs don't do NDI. That's the first thing. There's nothing in the Blackmagic line that does NDI anywhere. They have never adopted that. They've put their hat into the SMPTE 2110, and they have a lot of gear for that, but they don't have anything for NDI. So you could control it via companion and a laptop over the network, and then use an NDI converter to take it into your Blackmagic at that last step. So it's baseband HDMI or SDI, depending upon which switcher you have, for that last little jump into the switcher. That would be my recommendation.
Fritz is popping in, and Fritz is saying to use the Video Roadcaster.
The Video Roadcaster?
Thanks, Fritz.
Yeah, so we're still, is that for the audio to the X1 camera? The Video Roadcaster? Or was that for the
it just came in just then, so I thought it was for the control question that we had.
All right. Let me just double check.
Yeah, the Video Roadcaster has NDI for switching as well as HDMI.
Yes.
I think that's what he's getting into, is where you could connect your cameras via NDI there and do video switching with that.
Yes, and I just did a show today about the OC GoStream Duet 8 ISO, which has 4 NDI inputs in it. So that's a handy little switcher as well.
CJ is making a good point on the audio thing that I overlooked, is the X1s don't have an audio input directly. So as far as sending audio along with the video, it won't work directly that way. But with BirdDog Connect, you can merge a video and an audio signal together and do it that way. So even if you wanted, this is just a shameless plug for our Connect, but if you wanted to take a NDI video and merge it with a Dante audio stream, you can do that in Connect. It's one of my favorite things.
Well, and 'tis the season for a few of your favorite things.
12 of them.
Well, and Dante merging in Connect is one of them.
Yes.
All right. Well, Christian, I do appreciate you taking the time to join me for today's show. We've got the questions, and I want to do this giveaway, and I don't want to hold people too long for this. And so thank you again for that, and I will look forward to our next show. Hey, you know what? Somebody echoes your thoughts. Connect rocks, by the way.
It does.
So thank you again. I'll close out this show here. If you haven't already, this is your last chance. Go to bit.ly BirdDog entry or use your phone and point it at the QR code here. That will take you to an entry form. I'm going to stall for a few seconds because I know you're 20 seconds behind me. And what this will do is this will get you an entry form, fill it out with your name, your email address again, and answer a couple questions or not. You don't have to answer the optional questions, but hey, let us know what BirdDog product you would love for us to make and things like that. And this way gives you a chance to win the MultiView Pro, a full license. Anyone can sign up for the basic license, which gives you can see that one green dot there. But this is not that. This is the full license of MultiView Pro, which is MultiView, NDI MultiView on steroids. It's multiple multi-views with multiple sources arranged how you would like them, with meters on, meters off, custom names, all these different things, tally on, tally off, and you can then send these multi-views wherever you want multi-view. So it is just an amazing tool if you need multi-view, and MultiView Pro is what we're giving away today. I know we've talked about Connect a lot. Connect was the last show. Today is MultiView. We alternate between the two. So if you haven't already, I just saw another entry come in. That's why I'm stalling. And this is what we're giving away today. And I will be doing that right about now. So let me go over to, this is the entry form. There we go. Another one just came in as I clicked over to it. Corey, you just made it right under the wire there. Let me go over here. I'm going to collect from the top to the bottom. Everybody knows everybody's name because we've been throwing comments up in the list, and I want to do this in front of you so that I'm not picking a name. I'm having the wheel of names do it, and I'm going to copy all these names, and then I'm going to go over to the wheel of names, which still has the names from last week. So I'm going to select all these names, and I'm going to delete them, and then I'm going to paste all the new names. There we go. And I am going to click to spin this one. And the winner of MultiView Pro is the Musa cover band. That is a perfect name. Perfect name to win a prize like this. So that is the winner. I will pass this information over to BirdDog. They will reach out to you via the email that you provided and set you up with a full license for MultiView Pro. So once again, thank you to everyone who has joined me on this show, this BirdDog Connect. Oh, not there. Let's go back to just me. We gave this away. Thank you again. Happy holidays, everyone. Whatever holidays you choose to celebrate, may you have happy holidays this the fall for the last 2.5 weeks of the year, and may you have a happy new year. And we will look forward to more BirdDog live sessions in the new year. Take care.